Have you ever wondered about those who dream of a better life versus those who create it? Are you waiting to accomplish your dreams and goals? Welcome to Create It Now. With your hosts, Jonathan Stowe, Dawn Elizabeth, and the business hypnotist, AJ Boyden. For the next 60 minutes, we're going to put your dreams into motion and create it now. The phone lines are open at 731-1230. That's 731-1230. Or toll free 1-866-820-5528. That's 1-866-820-KLAV. Now let's bring on the host and create it now. Here is Jonathan Stone, Dawn Elizabeth, and AJ Boyden.
Hello and welcome, everybody. Hey, this is AJ Boyden, and you're listening to the Create It Now radio show with your host, Jonathan Stone. I'm AJ Boyden. Dawn Elizabeth is out for the week. However, we've got some in-studio guests that is going to make this day a fun day, so I'm very excited about that. I'm always excited when we have people in the studio. It's a very different dynamic. And so if you're new to our show, the show is all about how to create it now. In other words, instead of just having dreams and whole bunch of shoulda, woulda, couldas and having goals and some days, we're going to be talking about the action steps, the manifestation, the way we create it and make it our reality. And so we bring on guests. We talk about subjects and our guests always talk about, not just what they have done. It's more of how did they do it, and that's what I really love. So how you feeling, Jonathan?
Oh, I'm feeling wonderful. I'm feeling really great. After this, I'm on my way to LA, but I'm really excited about today's show because we have the wonderful Kelly O'Neill with us.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me here today.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Kelly is a renowned author and a speaker. And she has a mentor club, and she's going to explain to you how she can help you with her 1% program.
I am. Yes. Thank you for having me on today.
Now, I met Kelly, through some mutual friends, and she is amazing. What I love about her is her energy, her no BS approach to things. In fact, you're currently doing something called Sugar-Free TV, which is basically marketing without the fluff, right?
It is super fluff free. I kind of like to say that, hey, look, I'm not Willy Wonka, nor am I a bakery, so you will not be getting any sugar coating around here. And
you could already tell by the tonality of her voice. She's like, get down to brass tacks.
That's right. I'm going to try to make it through the next hour without swearing. So let's just, I think we should have a swear jar out.
Well, we definitely have a bleep button.
You might want to, he's like, no, we don't.
We bleeped Thomas out the other day. We had to buzz out Thomas Baylor.
Oh, did you really? I love my Tommy.
Thomas is an amazing guy. He did a great interview with us, too.
I imagine he gives good interview.
Exactly. Well, as long as there's cash involved.
Yeah. So within the first couple of hours of meeting Kelly, she totally rebranded the company that was with at that time and helped us come with something that really gave the company some meat and help us expand and grow into the high figure 6 and 7 figure marks. And so that's the power this lady's got. And so we're really happy to have her here. So let me start off by just jumping into this, because along with Kelly O'Neill that we have here in studio, later on towards the second half, you're going to want to tune in and listen because we have Micheal Roban, and he has been the executive producer for many entertainment projects, television and movies, a lot of Stallone movies, a lot of Jason Statham. How do you say it? Statham?
Jason Statham movie. Yeah,
Statham's movies, which I absolutely am a big
fan of.
Big fan of any action, any kick butting, I like that. I had to think about
butting.
We
need a dictionary for this show, the AJ Boyden dictionary.
Well, I'm bleeping myself out.
Rosetta Stone.
So let me ask you this question, Kel. Well, first of all, just so people have a context of who you are and those sort of things, can you give us a quick profiling?
Yes. So, I work specifically with entrepreneurs, and I primarily work with aspiring thought leaders who are up to big things in the world. They're looking to really change the world. So it's kind of about conscious capitalism, right? So they have a business. They want to make really great money doing what it is that they love and that they're most passionate about in the world. But at the same time, it's about more than that. It's about contributing to the world and creating, really improving humanity.
Mm-hmm. You told me a term once. It was what was it? Conscious
Entrepreneurs?
Yeah, conscious entrepreneur. Not just the entrepreneur who's out there just to make money. It's like the person who's out there to make money, also do something positive for the world, and at the same time have a fabulous life while doing it at the same time.
Absolutely, like right? Because I mean, if you're not enjoying
having the quan,
yeah, it's like it's because it's about so much more than just business, right? Your business, if for those of you who are out there in business, your business is just an expression of your unique gifts and talents. So it all really is this whole thing called life, right? Mm-hmm. So it's how do we choose to spend our life? And I personally spend a lot of my time working with entrepreneurs and visionaries and people who have these big dreams and these big hopes, and help them bring them into reality in a way that's impactful.
Okay, that's awesome, Kelly. But what I want to know, like, what I know.
Greed.
It's a long day.
Greed. They're greed.
Greed. So what brought you?
Get it? Just kidding. Go ahead.
No. So what got you into this world of speaking and helping entrepreneurs?
Yep. So first of all, I was raised in a family of entrepreneurs. So that's what I kind of knew. And I went into PR and branding when I was 18 years old. I did an internship and I got hired on from there, and I worked with these companies in the Silicon Valley. And so I kind of was always ahead of the track in my career field. And I went through corporate America, and, I used to work as an example for Intuit. They make Quicken, right? So I launched Quicken 98, 99, and 2000. And I kind of found myself wandering up to the CEO, Scott Cook's office, and kind of wanting to tell him how I think we should change the company. And he was like, aren't you in the PR department? Why don't you get back in your cube? And so I kind of realized at that point I was probably becoming a little bit unemployable, because I always wanted to shake things up, break the rules, shake up the status quo. And so I did a couple more startups in the .com boom after that. And then I went out on my own. And I worked for, when I started my company, my very first company, do you guys remember Morpheus?
Morpheus, yes.
Yeah, so Napster, for those of you who are listening
Right.
out there. So Morpheus was my very first client. And so I worked with them for 3 years to create a movement that allowed them to win their lawsuit and reposition them. And so much of that was about, not only was it about creating a movement and inspiring a group of people to band together to do something amazing, but it was also so much about coaching the CEO. And I didn't know what I was coaching, right? I just didn't know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, because that was such a coup, right? And I was in my late 20s, and I'd won all these
So it
awards.
was like 2 years ago.
God bless. Yeah. No, yeah, you're my new BFF. And so I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I mean, here I'm in my late 20s. I've scaled this PR mountain, and I'm a challenge girl, right? I like a challenge. So I was like, well, now what? And a bunch of people said to me, you should look into coaching. And I was like, what's coaching? And I had to Google it. Right. And I, much like I do anything, I just jumped right in. I went to coaching school, and I started at that point teaching entrepreneurs how to use my big business branding and PR and utilizing it for them to get their message out to the world. And that's how I got started in this.
Let me ask you a question. I've met a lot of people that all of a sudden they want to be a coach, or they get these great ideas and they think they can or want to be what you've already done, even at 18, and through your 20s. What is it different about you that enabled you to be successful while so many others have attempted to create something similar and haven't been able to do it?
Yeah, so I mean, I think, when you study success, and I have a bird's eye view because I work with so many different clients on this. A huge piece of it is my attitude. I mean, 98% of it is my attitude, my mindset. So with that being that I'm really clear I'm really clear in the vision of what it
Well,
is.
that's probably why you got into coaching, because it's not just what to do.
Yeah.
It's more of your mindset that enables you to follow
I could
through
teach
and
a
do
monkey to market. That's easy, right?
I'll be a monkey if you'll teach me how to market like you do. I'll be a monkey.
That's the easy part, right? But what it really is getting out of your own way, like being really clear in your vision and making a commitment and just going for it no matter what.
Well, we're going to find out what some ideas and some strategies and tips so that all of you can go for it. Right now, we're going to listen to some of our sponsors here. So you are listening to the Create It Now radio show. We want to thank all of our sponsors for all they do for us and help us create this community. Listen to us at createitnowmedia.com as well as facebook.com/createitnow. We'll be right back.
Blowing it out at Gene Woods Racing Experience, Las Vegas's newest premier outdoor adrenaline-powered gasoline go-karting track with speeds in excess of 45 miles per hour if you've got the balls. We've got 2-for-1 Tuesdays, buy one and your friend rides free. We've got $5 off coupons, and remember, on your birthday, members ride free, and they get a free Gene Woods Racing Experience t-shirt, open Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. till 11. Saturday and Sunday, noon till 11. And we're located at 121 East Sunset Road in Las Vegas Boulevard at the Sports Center across from McCarran Airport. Come blow the doors off your competition at Gene Woods Racing Experience. Once you race here, you won't go anywhere else. Be there. Be there.
Hi, everyone. This is New Media Vegas, your Sin City webmasters in Las Vegas, Nevada.
More than just web design, complete integrated marketing with inspired innovations in delivery of your new media message, putting the groove and the backbeat back in your brand.
The hottest in design trends with the latest innovations in marketing techniques. Call New Media Vegas at 702-517-0184.
Or visit us online at www.newmediavegas.com. Don't forget to check out our online magazine, Sin City Presents, featuring business, technology, fashion, dining, and entertainment news.
702-517-0184. 702-517-0184.
Those who can do. This is Create It Now. Here again, your hosts, Jonathan Stone, Dawn Elizabeth, and AJ Boyden.
Welcome back to the Create It Now radio show. If you're just tuning in, we are in studio with Johnson Stone and myself, and we are speaking with Kelly O'Neill from kellyo'neill.com. And she is just someone that we absolutely love. She's got some great entrepreneur ideas and concepts that are really like cutting edge, high end, 6-figure, 7-figure marks, income level. And I've got a question for you.
Okay. Shoot.
What are the mistakes that most people are doing while building their business?
Yeah, there's
only 2 mistakes.
We only have an hour.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, where shall we start? You want an alphabetical, chronological order?
What's driving you crazy when you see it?
Well, first of all, the inability to make a decision. That drives me it drives me crazy. I mean, it's so much. That's what I was saying right before we went to break is you've got to be able to make a decision and powerfully line up behind it and then take action steps. And what really successful people know is that you are going to make mistakes. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you move on. So people who are out there living really in fear and they're afraid of because you only don't make a decision because you're afraid. So that drives me nuts. It's like just make a decision.
What I found is knowing what you want is a skill. You've got to develop it and you've got to exercise it like a muscle. And we're talking about making decisions for a company and a business. And yet, so many people have a challenge deciding what they want at McDonald's. I mean, they stand there, they look at the menu. And I'm like, this is McDonald's. You don't know what they serve by now? And like,
right?
People who hate McDonald's even knows what a Big Mac is and what chicken nuggets are. So it's not that they don't know what's out there. It's just that they can't make a decision. And so you got to practice that.
Yeah.
But the one thing I want to say, we were talking about yesterday, and the whole thing about making a decision, you can change your life in 1 minute just by making a decision. People spend years and years trying to figure out what they want to do, but it only takes 1 minute to make a change. And if you can get people to actually make that change and commit to something and go after their desire, it opens up a whole new world.
That's one of the things I actually offer in my swag bag that's at my website, which, by the way, you guys, is completely free, is I actually do a training called Decision Point. Because it is a skill people need to learn. And that's the reason why it's the first training we do. People need to learn how to make a decision. And then the second thing that I think that they do is they try to go it alone. And I think that back to one of the things that made me so successful is I know what I'm really great at, and I also know what I suck royally at. And I hire people around me who make up for my deficit.
Right.
You know, I
completely
don't do
agree.
it by myself. I did not get where I am by myself by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I completely agree with that. Like AJ and I are completely different personalities. I'm more like high energy, go get it. I think bigger pictures. But I could just have some on my mind, and the next day AJ will have it done. Like just create it, put in the work behind it. It's amazing to see. I mean, I'm so blessed, and Dawn does the same thing because I come up with these crazy ideas, and they look at me like I'm nuts because I'm like, start from the top and kind of mess your way down. Go for the bigger picture, and Age is on it. It's like, oh, let's do this package. Let's take care of this, and it's
I think
laid out.
on a team, a great strategy. I mean, the things that you're not good, I ask people, what do you do with the things that you're not good? And everyone kind of gets, oh, you delegate that. Well, what do you do with the things that you're good at? Well, people say, you focus on that. And I say, delegate the things that you're good at. Just stick to the things that you're great at. Like I'm good at computers, but as long as I'm in that position in my company doing a good job on my computer, that means someone who's great at computers cannot help me because I'm too busy doing a good job, so they can't do a great job. And so just stick to find out what you're great at. And that takes a lot of introspective work. You got to self-examine. And that's why, I went to one of your conferences. In fact, as a man, I went to your women's conference.
My women's leadership conference.
And because I still wanted to learn, and you really hit that approach of just getting your mind straight first. Or not straight. Is that first
Aligned.
or at the same time?
It's really, first, because the thing is that I can teach anyone how to market or how to do business or how to, pitch a speaking engagement or do a radio interview or whatever. But if you're all stuck in your own way, it doesn't matter. Nothing happens until you're aligned. And then when you're aligned, everything happens. So it's like Jonathan said, you make a decision, your whole life can change in an instant.
Absolutely. So I have a quick question. Like the person who got me started in all this is Les Brown. He's my mentor. He's my angel. He called in last
Les.
week. Yeah. Who doesn't love Les?
Love myself some Les.
Yeah. So who is your mentors, or who inspired you, or did you get close with that took you to the next level?
Wow, this is such a great question. Well, my very first mentor actually recently passed away. He's the one that put me in my internship at 18, and I was actually studying advertising. And he said, "You are such a PR person." And I was pissed. I was like, he wanted to put me in a PR role. And I was like, no, I'm studying advertising. I want to do advertising. And he's like, trust me, I've got a few years on you. You are a PR person through and through. And that was, he really held the space for me, and he gave me a shot, and he knew that I can do it, and he gave me a lot of responsibility. He gave me a lot of rope to hang myself.
But he knew you could handle it.
He knew more than I did.
Right,
that
he believed in you more than you believed in yourself.
I was dying, right? I was like, oh my God, what if I mess this up? And, my very first responsibility was throwing a 100-person media party. And I was like, and actually they ended up saying it was the best media party that they'd ever had. And I was like, oh.
Yay.
But so that was a big one for me. And then I have other industry mentors like you. Mark Victor Hansen was really instrumental in helping me with a lot of things. And then also some of my great peers that I've mentored with in my industry on different things. I always have a mentor. That would actually be another thing. Talk about not doing it by myself. I always have a mentor.
Yeah, that's brilliant, because everybody needs a coach.
Everybody needs a coach.
And we've talked about this from Michael Jordan to Tiger Woods. It doesn't matter what you're great at, but just somebody to give you direction, somebody that can see the flaws. They don't have to be better at something than you, but they can stand back and look.
They have a bird's eye view. And then the other thing is I want to know the mistakes they made.
Right, exactly.
I pay my coaches to, okay, what are the biggest mistakes you made? Because I don't want to do that.
And people love to tell you.
Oh, they do? Oh, yeah. I tell
Which
people all the time, all the stuff I've messed up, which there's been loads.
Right, but so people should not be scared to find a mentor and ask them what they did wrong.
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people have that fear that the mentors are going to already, shut them down. Like, oh, you're asking me about bad things in my life. No, they want to share that.
Oh, I'm happy to share it. I share it all the time with my clients.
Well, good.
How would you advise someone to find a mentor, like, or get someone to mentor? It's like, oh yeah, here's a person. Wow, I love to do what they're doing. Yet they don't have a mentorship program. Any strategies or ideas around that?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that the easiest route, obviously, is finding people who have a mentorship program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they've got the structure and the ability and the capability. And, the first thing I always tell my clients is you need to figure out what it is that you need. So if you're struggling with mindset, that's the first place, right? Go and get yourself in a good place, right? Get yourself mentally prepared for whatever it is that you're going to endure. And then the next thing that you need, if you're in business, you need strategy, right? You've got to have strategy, because you can go and get specific training on sales or marketing or speaking or whatever, but if you don't have an overarching strategy, then you don't have anything to plug all those tactical things into. And then from there, it's who do you resonate with? I think that's a big thing. It's just finding someone who's doing the business that you're looking for, and that is in a specialty that you can that you're looking to build your business in. The thing I would say that you should run from is when someone appears to be a jack of all trades, because then they are a master of none. So if they're telling you that they can teach you how to do mindset, marketing, branding, sales coaching, plumbing, rotating your tires, you run. Because they're just trying to capture as much of the market as they can. That's just my personal opinion.
But in this industry, we see that a lot.
I tell my clients, do not be a Walmart.
Yeah.
Unless you want to charge Walmart prices, don't be a Walmart.
What do you think about accountability coaches?
I'm a biatch when it comes to accountability. I don't let my clients mess around.
Right. Would you explain to people what an accountability coach is? Because I know you're tough and stuff, and I didn't want, I mean, when it comes to that, I mean, Kelly's amazing. She's a blast to be around, but when you deal with her in business, she makes sure you get your stuff done. And I think you're very powerful as an accountability coach.
Yeah.
So can you just explain? Because a lot of people might not know what that means.
I would be so scared
my clients,
not to tell you I didn't do something.
That's kind of why they paid me the big bucks. So an accountability coach, and it's so funny because I never would have thought of myself as this, but I have to tell you, it's one of the things that my clients hire me for, which is I really believe that every single person is extraordinary. And I believe that we are all capable of so much more than we even can possibly tap into. And one of the services that I provide to my clients is really helping them see that vision and understanding what it is that they want in their life. Because they don't need to have my life. They need to have their life, whatever that looks like to them, and being clear about that. And then holding their feet to the fire, because everything, as you said, Jonathan, everything's a choice. Everything is your life can change like this. The minute that you start practicing good habits, it's like, look, if you want to lose weight and you're really committed and you've made a committed decision. I mean, you guys know, these guys don't know, but I lost 100 pounds, right? That happened because I made because I made a committed decision. So.
You look amazing, by the way.
Oh, I thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. So then it becomes, everything becomes a choice, right? It's like, I've got an apple sitting in front of me or a piece of chocolate cake. Which one's going in my mouth? Which one's going to help me achieve the result? And sometimes you need to get leverage on yourself, because we as human beings, we can jump the tracks very quickly. And, it's kind of like that thing where before you know it, you get out a bag of popcorn and you're like, I'm just going to have a handful.
Right.
And then the whole bag's gone, right?
Yeah.
And so we need leverage. And so when an accountability, part of when someone's doing accountability coaching, it's really about creating those leverage structures that are going to hold you accountable. And and there's different ways to do that.
Yeah. I also find too, like with a bag of popcorn, or people want to stop drinking or anything like that, when they're happy, they're like, oh, cool, I can celebrate. I can have some popcorn. And when they're sad, like, oh, my God, I need some popcorn.
Right.
Right. So they give themselves an excuse either way to indulge.
Yeah.
But it's just as easy as like, you know what? If you stand in front of a bus, you're going to get hit. I mean, people know the right answers.
Right.
But they make excuses for it, and that's why I think it's so great to have an accountability coach.
Yes, because if you have to turn the food journal in at the end of the week, and all of a sudden you have to cop to the fact that you ate 4 bags of popcorn because you were happy and then sad,
right?
You know, it's like then you know that you've got someone that is going to have the conversation with you. Well, wait a minute. Now I thought you wanted this.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that. So you're going to achieve your goals faster if you've got someone leveraged
Right.
on
But
the back
people
end.
make excuses and rational in their head to say, oh, it's okay for me to do this because of this or because of
Right.
that, where you just keep them on track and go, no, it's not okay. It
Right.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not gonna
Reward
yield-
yourself in another way.
It's not going to yield you the results. And then I actually look into why are you behaving this way? Why are you choosing this behavior? Because if it's not going to get you what it is that you desire, let's choose something differently. But let's go into the crux of why you're doing it and remove it from that kernel as opposed to just treating the symptom. Because it's not about a bag of popcorn.
Exactly.
It's never about a bag of
No,
popcorn.
it's never about the bag of popcorn. That's just their crutch.
It's just the behavior.
Yeah.
It's just a habit. It's a crutch.
So I love this flavor of the way you think popcorn, so I'm using the word flavor of how you're talking. You know, it's just that down nitty gritty. This is the real thing. And you're doing something right now called Sugar-Free TV, and that's exactly what you're doing on there. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I started a YouTube channel called Sugar-Free TV, which is the channel for entrepreneurs who want no BS brilliance on how to bend the rules and change the world. And I'm producing segments on a weekly basis, which you can actually get on my website at kellyoneal.com, and you can subscribe there. And I'm producing segments with quick little tips that kind of cut to the heart of the matter of things that we as entrepreneurs need to remember. It's about having fun. It's about cutting to the chase. It's not about being fluffy. It's, and I'm even talking about subjects that can be uncomfortable at times. I've got a segment coming out in a few weeks called 5 Ways to Handle the Haters.
Well, that's great.
Oh, cool.
Another quick question. Yesterday, we had a guest on, Layla Steinberg, and she goes into inner cities, and she works with kids and teaches them, instead of using violence, to turn it into art.
Cool.
Either rapping, poetry, painting, it doesn't matter, dance. She was known as the first manager of Tupac. He used to sleep on her couch, and he was a poet more than a rapper, and he's still very well known. But Layla's really tough on these kids as well as you are. So we also want to help kids. So what kind of advice could you give, because these are kids in school.
Yeah.
And for the parents out there, that their parents could do to help them achieve, or what kind of accountability? Because I know you work with a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But this is our future, and these are our
Yeah.
future entrepreneurs. And parents right now, it's this new generation where here's an iPad. They use that as babysitting tool. So what could you suggest to help?
Yeah, I think that so much of it is about reminding your children how extraordinary that they are.
Oh, that's awesome. That is brilliant.
I mean, really, they were born. So I believe that people are born extraordinary, and then we as a culture and a society train ourselves into mediocrity. That our school system is set up to create mediocrity. A lot of the way that our parents raised us was set to create mediocrity. Like the don't do this, do this. Nice girls don't do that. Children are meant to be seen and not heard. Don't say that because people could... don't say that because people, what will they think of you? Don't rock the boat. All of these sorts of things. And even in school, it's like stand in line, go inside, don't question the status quo. I had stepkids for a number. So I still have stepkids, but I'm just divorced now. But we really encouraged them to think outside the box and to be entrepreneurial. And regardless of the fact that we did not hand them everything.
Right.
By any stretch of the imagination. And we taught them young about money. And, first of all, we fostered their individual gifts because all 3 children were completely different. So one was an artist, one was a total entrepreneur, and one's a jock. And so we fostered those unique abilities and really encouraged them to reach for the stars. We created environments where we wanted them to be thinking more. And we wanted them to have a worldly responsibility. So we did a lot of as an example, we brainstormed with them, but we always let them create the idea. But one time we said, there was a television commercial on about dogs being abused, and my kids were really awestruck by that. And I said, well, we have two choices, guys. We can either watch the commercial and feel bad, or we can do something. Cool. What do you think we should do? And they're like, let's do something. And so we just started playing. Well, what do you think we could do? And anyways, long story short, what we ended up coming up with was the kids, we created a lemonade stand, and, and then I got to teach them all these marketing principles, like location, exactly. And quality ingredients. And, we ended up going and we raised $200 bucks for dogs. And then the kids got to mail it in and donate it.
That is awesome. Well, I really connect with the things that you're saying, and I really think our listeners should connect with you. You mentioned something earlier, and I wanted to know more about it. The swag bag. What's a swag bag?
Sure. On my website, I'm a giver. So I love to give entrepreneurs anything I can to help them really foster their business, get started. And so I created just a yummy little bag of goodies that are filled to help people on their entrepreneurial journey. It's a bag that's filled with a couple different trainings that I do. It has some checklists and some other things. It's worth $1,500, but it's absolutely free. If you go to kellyoneal.com, you can grab it. And that also includes the Decision Point training that regardless of whether you're an entrepreneur or not, that's something that I think can absolutely benefit everyone. So you can run over there and grab it.
Okay, I just have to ask one more question. Because of our listeners and stuff, is there anything, if they say create it now, anything else a little extra you could put in there?
Sure.
You'll figure something out. It'll be a surprise.
I'll come up with a little something.
$1,500 wasn't enough?
Yeah. But for you guys, yes.
Yes.
For you guys.
We want our listeners to have $1,505 value.
Okay. I will figure something out for you guys.
Well, that automatically puts you into our angel category of people helping out the community. Kelly is going to stay in studio with us as we get back from our break. We are going to have Micheal Roban with us, and so you definitely want to keep listening. You are listening to Create It Now Radio show. Make sure you tune into our past shows at createitnowmedia.com. You could also go to Facebook at facebook.com/createitnow, or send us an email, createit@createitnowmedia.com. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to make more money? Do you want to set yourself apart in your industry? Then you need to join the USA Victory Tour. Jay Suter will be sharing the 3 key skills of how he went from a brand new idea to earning over 5 figures in one day. The USA Victory Tour will be in 18 cities across the U.S. Where will they be next? Find out at usavictorytour.com. Don't see your city listed? Bring the USA Victory Tour to your city. Log on now to usavictorytour.com. When small business wins, America wins.
Hey, it's Roxy from the 702 Rock Show, right here at VegasAllNetRadio.com. Listen to my show every Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. to hear about local artists, musicians, fashion designers, and more right here in Las Vegas. So tune in every Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. to hear me, Michelle Roxy Davis, right here at VANR on the 702 Rock Show.
Welcome back to Create It Now. The phone lines are open at 731-1230. Here again, your hosts, Jonathan Stone, Dawn Elizabeth, and AJ Boyden.
Welcome back to the Create It Now radio show. If you're just tuning in, well, we have Kelly O'Neill from kellyoneal.com in studio with us. I'm here with Jonathan, and I'm AJ Boyden. Dawn Elizabeth is out this week, yet she'll be with us next week, so make sure you tune in then. And we have another very special guest, all about creating it now, how to take it from that dream state to that reality state and make it happen. This is Micheal Roban. Now, Jonathan, you're good friends with Micheal, so I'll have you tell the people about him.
Okay. Yeah, Micheal is like my brother. He's one of my dearest friends, and he's accomplished quite a bit. He's a lawyer. He's a huge Hollywood executive. He's guided me through a lot of things. He's the one who'll call me and say, put on my big boy pants and get it done. So we were talking about accountability. Michael will seriously call me up and be like, put on your big boy pants, make a decision, and do it. And so we're really honored to have Michael on. And I'm actually going to see him in about 4 hours from now. Michael, how you doing?
Which frightens me a great deal, John. But make sure you have your big boy pants on when you show up.
And my diapers. Yeah. So how are you?
I'm great. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm thrilled to be part of your show and honored that you wanted to have me as a guest. So here I am.
Well, thank you for joining us. Kelly O'Neill's in here. Do you remember Kelly from last time you were out here?
I do remember Kelly.
Well, hello there. How are you?
Does Kelly have big boy pants on today, too?
I have big girl pants on and a thong.
Big girl pants on. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not wearing a thong.
Thank God.
Yeah. And AJ's got
It's
a bullwhip.
a family show, though. It's a family
Exactly.
show.
So, Michael, the thing we talk about is how to take things from a dream state to a created state. And you're, a big executive in the entertainment industry, and you created a lot of movies. How does that relate to a person's real life, their actual life, compared to like movies?
Yeah, I think it's a great way that people can look at their lives in a similar way, in a similar process. Of course, Hollywood is its own very special animal. But the thing that happens here almost on a daily basis is somebody shows up in our office with a screenplay. And it's a screenplay that they imagined. They sat around thinking, hey, this is a great idea for a story that I think can be successful. And 9 out of 10 times, it doesn't really come off and they don't get made, but probably a lot more than that. But the ones that are the movies that are the best movies are the ones that start out with a great screenplay. So right off the bat, you're looking at success starting with a great plan, which is basically what a screenplay is. It's, a screenplay isn't just something that we read and it's entertaining and it's great and we say, ha ha ha, this is awesome, let's go do this. It also contains the DNA of a successful movie. And what I mean by that is when we break down what a movie is going to cost, where we can shoot it, what are the logistics of it? Is it going to attract a major star? Does this thing have the guts? Does this thing have the DNA that can be successful? And I think for people, it can kind of start in the same place, sitting around. If your ambition in life is to make a ton of money, do you really have a plan, a workable plan to go about doing that? Are you surrounding yourself with the best people? Is there really a workable plan here, or is it all just really a pipe dream that's going to fall apart because you really haven't thought through it very carefully?
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. So basically, your belief is it starts with pen to paper. Put it down.
In a sense, yes. In whatever form, or computer, finger to computer. But yes, absolutely. I truly believe this, John. I think whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you just want to be do better at whatever it is in your life, anybody that doesn't create a proper plan for themselves in some way, whether it's if you're brilliant at just carrying stuff around in your head, I do believe there's a very a powerful aspect of writing things down. I think it does remap your brain to a certain extent, and I think forcing yourself, John, it may shock you to know that I've been in therapy before, and one of the things that very good therapists that I've worked with have always told me when trying to improve my life and be better after going through some difficult times in my life, which I think everybody has, write a letter to somebody who has made you unhappy. Don't necessarily send it, but write a letter. And just the act of writing things down remaps your brain in a way that gets you to think about things in a more active sense rather than in a passive sense. And I think it's that active sense that gets people to take the next step. It's sort of telling your brain, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do it. Your brain starts thinking through it when you write it down and starts realizing that it makes sense, or maybe it realizes that it doesn't make sense. I mean, if we think about all the times we've just acted irrationally and just done something, maybe had we written it out and been more careful about it, we would have saved ourselves the trouble of making those mistakes by acting impulsively or irrationally.
That's what AJ and I were talking about a little bit earlier. He was asking some of the biggest mistakes that people make. And, we talked a little bit about mindset and that sort of thing, but that's the other thing, is not having a plan. And, it's amazing. I'll say to my students, you don't jump in your car, coming here to the television station today. To the radio station today. I did a television interview earlier.
We're filming you anyway.
Are you? Fantastic. Good to know. Glad I put my lipstick on. All right. So, but, I knew I needed to get here, and I knew I needed to get here by a certain time. So what did I do? I GPS'd it. I wanted to make sure that I knew where I was going, and the best route to get me there on time. And we do that little stuff when we do something as simple as going out and running an errand, or, taking a road trip. But then when it comes down to planning our lives, or really, I mean, even with our businesses, so many people have no plan. They get up and they just ready, fire, aim. And so they're all over the place, and then they get the results that accompany that kind of behavior.
So
right.
Michael,
and then go ahead. Sorry, I was going to add something to what you were saying though is, I think when the trouble hits the fan, so to speak. I was going to use another word, but I know we're on the radio. I think that's where also you really see the value of that plan. If you map out on GPS how you're getting to the office, what if all of a sudden there's a major construction project that blocks you? Well, chances are now, because you've done your homework and you've mapped it out, you've got a plan B. If you didn't do that and didn't familiarize yourself, with the route and the different options that the route's presented you, you've got absolutely no way to improvise when things go wrong. And I think that's a very important point as well.
Let me ask you this question, Michael. I got to imagine that you've seen plenty of people with, they've got a screenplay and that's about it. Now, to them, they think, they said think it through. I thought this completely through, and they come up with a screenplay, but that's all they have. They don't know what they don't know. What is it? What are some of the most common things that people are just completely missing?
Well, that's a really big question. Are you assuming in your hypothetical that this is a very talented person or a not talented person?
This is a person who is, they've got a screenplay and they just think it's going to knock it out of the ballpark. They've done their kind of market research on what makes a good story nowadays, but they've never actually made anything happen. So they don't know the business of entertainment. So they think,
yes,
I have this.
It's a great question. I mean, my advice to anybody that starts out in a creative field is to really learn the business of it and to learn how to network. So if a guy's just been sitting in his in his bedroom in his mom's house, and he's 32 years old and he has zero life experience, but he's a brilliantly talented screenwriter, it's unlikely that screenplay is going to really get anywhere, because he just hasn't learned the process of how to go through the proper channels in order to realize that dream. And it might be so taking one hypothetical, when you have an incredibly talented guy who's just completely inept at every other aspect of his life, he doesn't know how to network, doesn't know how to meet people, hasn't bothered to do his homework on how the industry works, doesn't know how to find an agent that can help him out, doesn't even know how to meet a film producer, he's going to be out there trying to hawk his screenplay in an extremely inefficient manner. So there's an inefficiency that's probably going to prevent him from realizing success, which in that hypothetical is tragic. Of course, we have no end of delusional screenwriters that just have no talent, and sadly, they learn the ins and outs of the business and learn how to network with people and, put extremely awful screenplays in our hands to read. But that's a whole other matter.
Right.
I mean, if somebody doesn't have talent as a screenwriter or in any aspect of their lives, that's a serious handicap. If I want to be a race car driver and, I have horrible vision or, I'm uncoordinated and just have no skill, well, I could have the best plan in the world and, all the best intentions, it's really not going to get me too far.
Okay, Michael, I have a question for you. So most people don't even understand how a movie gets there. And talking about like real life as well, they say, create goals. My thing is we want to help people achieve goals. And so explain how the process is pretty much the same, because people just think, okay, here's a screenplay and the movie's done. And 3 months later, it's done. They don't know how much work has to go into, how many tasks. As Kelly was talking about the GPS, getting to the studio, there's still that she achieved her goal of getting here and doing an amazing show, but there's a bunch of tasks to get there.
Right.
And so I think that compares in real life the whole movie scenario with, it's just not, I'm going to come up with this idea and it's done. They don't know like what you have to go through. So can you compare that in real life?
Sure. As a producer and a production company, when we find typically it's not just about reading a great screenplay that reads well. It's about analyzing every aspect of it in terms of what it would cost to make it, to do it in a way that would be very successful. We have to remember at the end of the day, it's a business venture as much as it's a piece of entertainment. We have to approach it like any other business, and every motion picture is a complete startup business from the ground floor up. So we're looking at it as who's going to be the director. The director is kind of similar when you're doing a startup venture of who your CEO is going to be, right? It's who's going to be the one that has the vision and can put all the pieces together around them, move everybody around into place to achieve this vision that we all have together. So the director really, making the right decision on the director is a very important piece of the equation. And when we're looking at a screenplay, we're also looking at, well, can this attract a kind of cast? Does this film need cast? Do we need Brad Pitt to make this film successful? If that's what it takes, if this film can only be successful with Brad Pitt, well, you're putting yourself in a very narrow box. On the one hand, okay, well, we'll bring it to Brad, and if he says yes, then we're excited, and if he doesn't, then we just won't spend any more time on it. That's fine. But you've got to be able to look at a screenplay and look at it from an economic standpoint. Is this going to attract the kind of cast, the kind of director that's going to make this successful? Can we put this together? Can we be successful with this? Or is this something that's better left maybe to the studios? Or is it better to be done as an independent film by people that just kind of wing it and take it to market and see how that will work out for them? We don't do that. We're a very international company in terms of our films have to be able to sell them internationally around the world. So different companies will look at things in a different way. Like, for example, a big, broad slapstick type of comedy with a lot of slang in it doesn't travel very well internationally. So that's the kind of business where an American distribution company, a major studio like Universal or Paramount or Fox, will look at it and say, well, look, if we can do this movie for $40 million, we can make a ton of money in the United States alone. And whatever we sell in Germany and France and the other territories around the world, the non-English speaking territories, are just a bonus for us. But we can't do that because the staple of our business is selling movies to Germany and France. So if we don't have movies that can be successful there on their own, we probably won't get involved in it. So the answer to the question is, just because we pass on a movie, it doesn't mean that it can't be successful. We have to analyze it for our own business and how our own business works. And again, that's something that everybody has to understand. When you're a screenwriter, you have to understand the market of who you're working for. If you make a movie that's very broad slapstick comedy with a lot of slang in it, they don't understand that in France. France, it doesn't translate very well. It's hard to translate certain kinds of slang into different languages, and the movie just doesn't come across as being funny. Whereas thrillers and horror movies and things like that are not as dialogue specific. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yes, you did. Very much so.
No, you didn't. But we'll get back to that.
Well, for our listeners, I know that, Kelly and Jonathan, myself, and you as well, Michael, when you share something like that, we automatically translate it to life. You're talking about, okay, where's the directors? How big is this market? Where's the limitation of those things? And for our listeners with their business or their goal in their dream, it's seeing it from more angles than just the dreamer's point of view. It's from the production point of view, from the marketing point of view, from the PR point of view. When you can get all those views together and think of your company or your dream, your goal, like a movie production, well, then all of a sudden this is how we go from that screenplay dream into a reality there is on the screen or in life, right?
Exactly. And I think, if we want to start thinking through this and breaking it down, how people can think about it, let's take the example of deciding to make a movie for two. We made a movie this year called The Haunted House with Marlon Wayans that we made for very little money. I mean, it was a movie that was under $5 million, and it did over $40 million at the box office. Had we made the movie for $30 million, it would have done the exact same amount of business at the box office, and it would have been an unsuccessful movie. Instead, by making it for a very modest number, we were able to make an enormous profit on the movie. And I started thinking about, in life, how people sometimes say, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to buy the biggest house I can find. I'm going to go buy the fanciest car that I can find, go move to the fanciest neighborhood, and all of a sudden they have a massive overhead, and it creates an enormous amount of pressure to sustain that. And I think, it's possible that people might not make the best decisions once they put themselves into a difficult situation where they now have to maintain a certain lifestyle, and that actually may hamper them from achieving certain goals. Whereas if they're able to say, okay, great, well, if I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to achieve certain goals, why don't I make it easier on myself and find ways to live simpler so I can think more out of the box and not have as much pressure on me to make enough money to pay my mortgage this month. It's just making decisions like that ultimately I think lead to success. It's not just about what it is that's in front of you that you can do either well or not so well and make money. It's about every other decision that you make in your life. Who are your partners in life? Who are your friends? Who do you surround yourself with? How are you getting there to achieve what you want to achieve? If you're failing, is it just about that you're just not achieving a goal, or can you look at every aspect of your life and the other choices that you're making in terms of your personal life and the people that you're surrounding yourself, and asking yourself honestly if that's holding you back?
Well, let me ask you this: what are you creating right now? I mean, or are you at liberty to say what's exciting and inspiring you nowadays?
Well, I started a project with John called Real Wisdom TV, which is extremely exciting.
Hey, I did your branding.
You did our branding.
I did. I did your guys' branding.
Absolutely. And I think what's exciting about that is John and I sat in a room with Gail Kingsbury, and we had an idea. And 6 months later, we had a subscription channel on YouTube, and soon I think we're going to be on Hulu. Cross your fingers. We're in the middle of working that out. And where we sat in a room and imagined an idea, we've actually brought to reality something that I think can be very exciting for everybody that wants to be a little better, a little smarter, maybe a little wealthier, certainly healthier, and have the kind of programming that's really fun and exciting to watch on a daily basis.
That's great. Michael, okay, so we have to wrap up for the day. And I got to hit the road to come out to you, and we want to thank you so much.
I was having so much fun. I felt like all I get is 3 minutes of time. Oh no, that's 20 minutes.
It's 20 minutes. It doesn't fly by. It's pretty amazing.
It's amazing.
No, we'll have
thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me on the show, guys. Anytime that you want, anytime you want to talk about Hollywood or Realism TV or make fun of John, where I'm totally okay with it.
Absolutely, and we will be calling you again. And we do run the Real Wisdom commercial every day.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
I'm happy for that.
And I will see you in a little bit. Okay, Michael.
We'll see you soon.
All right.
Fantastic. So you are listening to the Create It Now radio show. That was Micheal Roban. We're in studio with Kelly O'Neill as well. We'll listen to our sponsors, say thank you to our sponsors real quick, and then we'll be right back.
Are you holding yourself back? Does it seem like you are your own worst enemy? If you self-sabotage yourself or your business, you may never realize your dreams and goals. And all the seminars, training, and coaching in the world can't help you. Log on now to EliminateSelfSabotage.net. That's EliminateSelfSabotage.net. And start clearing those blocks today. AJ Quayton is a leading authority on self-sabotage with over 27 years experience. His unique history in seminars and tens of thousands of case studies has developed an effective blend of techniques and skills that can help take you and your business to the next level. Log on now to EliminateSelfSabotage.net. That's EliminateSelfSabotage.net and start climbing higher, going farther, and reaching your dreams and goals. Log on now to EliminateSelfSabotage.net.
The best television isn't on television. It's on the internet. Log on to RealWisdomTV.com for thousands of hours of motivational and inspiring content. On demand, all the time. Unlike network television with its sex, drugs, and rock and roll, RealWisdomTV.com provides wellness, wealth, and wisdom. From how to read faster to creating greater wealth, RealWisdomTV.com is for you. The learning never stops, and neither does RealWisdomTV.com. Log on now to RealWisdomTV.com.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to our show today. I've got 3 quick questions and tips for you. The first question is, what is it that you want? You got to know what it is that you want. Also, ask yourself, what stops you from getting what you want? So therefore, you can see the hurdles and the pitfalls before they happen. And then, what is it that you need to overcome those pitfalls and hurdles? And go out there and create your dream life. I want to say thank you to Micheal Roban. And in studio, I want to say thank you very much, Kelly O'Neill.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. You can come back anytime.
Why, thank you.
Very, very good. Awesome, everybody. Tune into our listen to past shows. And that's all the time we have for today. You are listening to the Create It Now radio show. You can re-listen to the broadcast on Vegas AllNet Radio from 11 p.m. to midnight, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll be back next week we'll be back next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 3 to 4 right here on KLAV AM 1230.
Have a great weekend.